two different yarn sizes. This one requires a 4.5 hook. It's the Hobby Friends 8x8. I think that's their biggest size in the Friends section. But the thing about the Friends is that they're like the same, obviously the same color, which makes this project a lot easier because you're going to need the largest size of Friends and then the smallest size of Friends. That is the 8x8 and the 8x4. 3 hooks will make this project a lot easier, but you can get away with just the 2 larger ones. This one, the small one, is optional. It's a size 2.5 hook, which will be easy to use for the elastic, but it can be done with the size. The pink is a size 3 and the red is a 3.5. And then it's a 0.5 size elastic cord. I don't recommend going any larger because then it'll get itchy. This is the smallest size available. You can find them at like Michael's. And any kind of scissors and stitch markers, I use bobby pins because I just think they work better. And then of course you'll need these measurements, and they look pretty intimidating, but we usually figure that out as we go. Now, the reason I'm using a 3.5, even though the yarn recommended a 4 to 4.5, is because it adds a little bit more tightness and stability, especially in the bust. This one, I will be chaining the measurement from the bottom of my bust to how long I want it. I prefer it at the belly button. However, for this example, I'm only chaining 10 plus a chain 1 stitch because my original footage got deleted. For my original top, I ended up doing 20 plus 1 chain stitch. You'll start the first row by doing a half double crochet just in that first loop, and you're going to continue that all the way till the end. This next row will be almost the same thing. It's a half double crochet in the back loop only, and you'll continue this till the very end. So I didn't do it in any of these clips, but if you wanted to make it easier to detect where that very last stitch is, you can always add a stitch marker there as well. We'll begin this row still doing half double crochets, but it'll be like a normal stitch, so you'll go through basically both loops. This next row is going to be determined by how many stitches you have. So basically we're going to be half double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch to make the holes. If you have an odd number of stitches, you're going to start with a half double crochet in that first stitch like so. but since I have 10 stitches, that's an even number, I will be chaining 3 and then going into that, just skipping 1 stitch right there. And then half double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and then continue that all the way till the end. This will be another row of just a simple half double crochet. You'll start in the quote hole and then go in the stitch, and then you'll continue that pattern till the end. Because I started that row with a chain 3, I will be half double crocheting in the hole and then into that second chain space right there. If you started your row with a half double crochet, you'll have that stitch already there at the beginning, so it'll be like just a little easier. We'll be repeating that pattern by doing a half double crochet in the back loop only. So we'll be continuing this pattern, which I'll show up here, until it is half the length of your waistline. This is going to be the front part of the waist. This will be the beginning of the bust. Now, this is also determined by preference which side you want to consider the quote top. For me, I'm just going to do it where I ended my stitch or my row because it's just easier that way. For the bust, we will be working with single crochet increases. We'll be increasing every other stitch going into the side loops. It can be tricky at first to know where to like put your hook, which is why I recommend watching this part before attempting it. Depending on your bust size will determine what row you do next. For those with smaller busts, this might be your last row. For me, because I am a 34C to D, I will be doing another row of single crochet increases, except I will be doing my increase every 2 stitches. This bust row, whether you do however many rows of increases you do, should match this measurement. And it's important to remember, the more rows you do, the more far apart your increases would be. For my top, I ended at 2 rows, so that is an increase every 2 stitches. But if you were to continue, you would do an increase every 3 stitches, then every 4 stitches, and so on. Once you're done with your increases, we're going to be doing the lemon peel stitch, which is literally a double crochet, and then right after a single crochet, right after a double crochet, right after a single crochet, and so on. And we are going to be continuing this pattern, repeating the rows until we reach the center of the bust. For my top, that was 8 rows of this pattern. We're going to be starting the row with a half double crochet decrease. And we will be doing the half double crochet decrease every 4 stitches and following the respective patterns, meaning if you come up to a single crochet, you would insert a double crochet in that stitch and vice versa. So again, that's every 4 stitches, so that means on the 5th stitch you'll do a decrease. From here on out, you're going to be beginning each row just in the beginning with a half double crochet decrease, and then you will be continuing the same lemon stitch pattern. Now, because we did in the previous row, we did the decreases kind of in the middle, like in the entire row kind of, it's gonna kind of screw up your pattern. but just continue with the double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, regardless of whatever stitch you insert your hook into. Once the whole project is completed, like entirely, it's not going to be noticeable. And you're going to be continuing this pattern until you reach your desired length of the main part of the bust, which is this measurement right here. We end the bust there by cutting and fastening, and we're going to be working on the sides of the back part. The angle I'm showing here is the front of the shirt. We're going to flip it over, tie our yarn at the very end, and work regular half double crochets in every stitch. The quote very end being the bottom of the bodice. When you get to the sides of the bust, we will be working in the loops, kind of like when we were doing the single crochet increases at the very beginning of the bust. This time we will be continuing the previous pattern we did before, which will be shown up here. Because there's a large gap between the rows of holes that I did, I'm going to be starting with that, and I am counting my stitches to make sure I have even or odd stitches before I begin. So we'll be continuing the same pattern until we reach 8 rows entirely. I ended on a half double crochet back loop only row. I'd also like to mention, since our first row we started from the bottom going up, for the other side we are going to do the opposite. We are going to work from the top going down. Now we're going to be working on the back elastic. This is where the smaller yarn we're going to use, as well as the size 3mm crochet hook. And of course, for the previous yarn, we cut and fastened that. Starting from the top, working our way down, we are going to attach the smaller yarn to the side back. Then we will be chaining up to this measurement right here. Should be able to wrap around the entire project, including this chain row, to wrap around your entire shoulders. For this example, I ended up doing only 40 stitches plus an extra chain one, but for the real project, I had to switch to 55 stitches plus the chain one. And then of course we are going to attach it with a slip stitch on the other side, chain one, slip stitch into that stitch right next to it, chain one, flip your work, and we will be working in half double crochets all the way to the other end. Now we will be repeating the pattern of doing a slip stitch into the next stitch, chain one, go to the stitch directly next to it, chain one, flip your work, and then continue regular half double crochets all the way to the other side until you reach the very bottom. For the next step, we're going to work on the rest of the bust where it kind of goes in at the angle and then the straps. You will need to find the very center stitch, which you can do by adding up your total amount of stitches and dividing by 2. My total amount of stitches was 63, which divided was 31.5. So it didn't give me an exact center stitch. I had 2 center stitches. So what I did is I marked a double crochet in between them. So I will be utilizing both of those stitches. But if you do have a single center stitch, you will be just marking that stitch itself. We're going to reattach our first yarn, which is the larger yarn. Remember, we're going to be working the opposite way of where the stitches are going. We're going to start with a half double crochet decrease, and then just like this lemon peel pattern we were doing with the rest of the bust, we are going to continue that till the very end of the bust. At the end, since we went from the center to the side, we are going to start the side to center row with a half double crochet decrease. We will be finishing this row with another decrease on top of our previous decrease. When you are at the center, you are going to be decreasing in that first stitch at the beginning and end of the rows. But when you are at the sides, you will only be beginning the row with a decrease. So think of it as like double decrease in the middle, single decrease on the side. And you will continue that until this measurement here, which is a preference, basically when you want your strap to start. I continued this until I had 6 stitches left to begin my strap. At the beginning of the strap, we're going to be doing rows of half double crochet back and forth. I did 125 rows of this. My footage went missing again, but we're going to be at the end of our strap. To complete it, we're going to be decreasing on one side only. This is to mimic the angled ribbon that we see on like other halter tops. So I marked where I decrease, and I will continue the half double crochets, continue decreasing until I get exactly 1 stitch left. Also, I'd like to add the decrease is on the inside of the top, so the decrease will be on the side where the bust is. And of course, we're going to be repeating the same thing on the other side, except previously, because we are going the opposite way of the stitches, we started from center to the side. For the other side, we are going to be starting from the side and going into the center. Same amount of decreases, the same rules apply, all the way till you finish the strap. Now we're going to flip our work inside out to work in the elastic. This is where the really small hook is going to come in handy. I'm using the 2.5 hook I showed at the beginning, but any small hook that you have can probably work, and I will demonstrate that later on. I have a highlighted diagram here, but we're going to be working in the rows with this upside down looking V stitch. And we are going to be beginning our row the furthest to the side we can get to. So we are going to be working in these loops, skipping 2 stitches, so the 3rd stitch, working in those loops. So now we're going to attach our elastic the same way we would with yarn. I tie it on and then I do a chain 1. And remember, skipping 2 stitches, going to the 3rd, we are going to slip stitch in that loop and then chain 1. And then repeating that pattern. Skipping 2, 3rd loop, chain 1. And remember, try to be mindful of your tension with the elastic. And of course, you would continue this till the very end of your row. Now, if you didn't have a really tiny hook or also you just didn't feel like getting a bunch of new crochet hooks for this one project, this is the same hook I used to crochet the half double crochet back. The loops were actually working in. So because this one's a little larger, it's a bit more difficult to sneak under that loop. So I'll grab it, pull it, and that gives me more room to insert the hook and then slip stitch, chain 1 the elastic. This is still a very viable option. It could work. However, I do personally recommend grabbing that smaller hook. So here is the end of the row, and as you can see, it visually gets kind of confusing because we don't have those stitches anymore, but there's still more of the row left. So I like to find a loop as far to the end as I can go. Whichever loop you choose to use, just make sure you are consistent throughout all your rows. And then I actually chain 2. And then I will cut it and I'll pull on it really tight. And that is what the first row of elastic should look like. And we'll be skipping that row, going immediately to the next row with the same look of the stitches. And we will be continuing that pattern till we reach the very bottom. As for dealing with the loose ends of the elastic, I just trim them right above the knot. And I will admit it does look itchy, and I was hesitant myself, but as I tried it on, it was completely unnoticeable, for me at least. And for those who are still hesitant that it won't be durable by cutting it that short, this is me pulling on it. This is as far as I can pull it, and it is staying intact. And of course, you're gonna weave in all your other ends, whatever method works.